N8N is one of the most popular tools to build AI agents, but connecting it to Manychat, that's where most people mess up. Most tutorials do this wrong, and it can break your whole AI agent flow. So in this video, I will show you what others are doing wrong, how my system works, and how you can connect Manychat to N8N the right way. And you will get my templates for free so that you can get started today. But before we do any of that, let me first show you what we will create. So in this video, we will use the example of a coach with a high-ticket marketing program. And whenever a new message comes in, what we want to do is we want to answer a couple of questions, and then we want to qualify the lead. And if the lead is qualified, we can automatically book an appointment with them. So let me show you how this works on Instagram. So here I am in Instagram, and then I can say, hey there, I need help with my marketing. Can you help me with that? And then it says, absolutely, I can help. Quick question to start, just to make sure we are a good fit. Which country are you from? So then I can say Netherlands. And then it says, great, thanks. What's your main goal with your business right now? So then I can say, we get lots of leads, but those leads don't become customers. That's where I need help. And as you can see here, we write multiple messages, but our AI agent will also understand these multiple messages. So that is not a problem. And then it says, got it. That's exactly what we help with. Do you already have an offer or clients, or are you just getting started? So then I can say, I already have an offer and clients, but I want more. Basically, the lead to customer flow needs to be better. I currently have a marketing budget of around 2,000 a month. And then it says, you sound like a strong fit for our program. Would you like to book a free strategy call with our team? We can plan your next steps together. So then I can say, yes, that would be great. What will we discuss during the call? And will it be with you or someone on your team? And then it says, great question. On the call, we will review what you're doing now. So now it automatically replies to these questions based on the knowledge base that it has been trained on. So it explains all of that, and then it gives me 3 options for doing the call. So then I can, for example, say November 7 at 10 works fine. My name is Joran, and you can send the confirmation to this email. And then it says, you're all set, Joran, booked for Friday, November 7 at 10. A confirmation is on the way to your email. On the call, we will review your current marketing, goals and offer, and the gaps. So as you can see, this AI agent can automatically answer questions, qualify leads, and book appointments. So let me show you how it works. So if we go over here, we start by receiving the messages on Instagram, and it also works if people send multiple messages in a row. Then we collect all of these messages in Manychat, and then in Manychat, we put all of these messages into one bundle. Then the next step is that we send that bundle of messages to N8N, where we have our AI agent. So we send that to N8N, and N8N gives a response with the AI agent. And then what we do is that we break the answer of N8N, we break that down into multiple messages, because otherwise you would send the AI agent answer in one large text block, and that just feels super robotic. But if we split it up into multiple messages, it feels like you're actually talking to a human. So that's the next step. What we do, we get the answer from our AI agent and we break that down into multiple messages. Then we send those back to Manychat, and then finally from Manychat we send it back to Instagram. So that's basically how our complete AI agent flow works. And we only need 3 tools, right? So we only need Manychat. We use Manychat because it's one of the best DM automation platforms in the world. I use it all the time to create DM automations for my clients. I use them because they're easy to use. They're 100% meta approved, and they're very cheap. They offer a free plan, and the pro plan already starts at $15 a month. We use N8N to basically create our AI agent and do all of that stuff. And then lastly, we also have OpenAI, which we basically use to the back end of our AI agent. And for each one of these tools, I added the links in the description. Here you can find the links and can also find the discount codes that will help you get started. And full disclaimer, these are all affiliate links, but it definitely helps me with creating free videos like these, and it doesn't have any influence on the price you pay. So the first step that we are going to do is set up our accounts, and we're going to start with Manychat. So you can just go to the link in the description, or you can just go to chatamize.com/MC if you don't have a Manychat account yet. And then here, what you can do is you can just click on Get Started and then choose for Instagram, and then continue with Google or continue with Facebook. And I actually have a separate video on my YouTube channel that explains how you can connect your Instagram account to Manychat. So after you've watched this video, I highly recommend going to that video as well. I already have a Manychat account, so I will just click here on sign in and then click on sign in with Facebook. So that is our first account. Then the next account is N8N. So you can just go to chatamize.com/N8N. And that will bring you directly to the N8N website. And then here you can just click on Get Started. I already have an account, so I'll just click on Sign In. And then here I have my instance from N8N, so I can just click here on Open Instance, and then that it's working as well. And then lastly, we have OpenAI. So you can just go to platform.openai.com. Here you can just sign up for a new account. You can just do that with your email. And then once you have an account, you can just go here to the settings. And then you need to go to billing, and you need to have some credit balance in your OpenAI account because otherwise it wouldn't work. What I recommend is just adding like something like $5 and setting up auto recharging. So that basically means that if your credit balance reaches like $5, then automatically it will charge your credit card, and this will make sure that all of your AI automations are always working. So that's basically how you can set it up. We have N8N, we have OpenAI, and we have Manychat. And the next step that we will do is we will get started with setting up our Manychat automations. And in order to do that, you can just use my free template, and you can get it by going to the link in the description. It's completely free. I will just grab that right now from my second screen. And then here we have the Instagram AI agent. It consists of 3 flows and 1 rule. And then you can click on Install. Then you need to determine the page you want to install this for. So in my case, that will be Chatamize Demo. And then lastly, you can click on Install Now. What's very important with what you install is that here we have all the user fields that are kind of part of this template. And what's really important is that you keep these same user field names. If you change this, for example, to AI -answer 1 instead of AI and this answer 1, it already doesn't work anymore. So these fields needs to be exactly the same. And how we basically use that is we use the AI user messages to collect all of the messages from the users, and we use AI answer 1 up until 6 to actually send the answer from our N8N AI agent to someone on Instagram. So that's what you can do. You can just click here on Install Now, and now it is installed. So then if you go to Automation, then you will find a folder called Instagram AI Agent N8N, and then you can click on the folder again. And then here we have 3 automations. We have one automation where we collect all of the messages. Then we have one automation that sends those messages to N8N. And then we have one automation that sends the answer from our agent back into Instagram, right? So you can just click here and then click on Edit Automation. So in this automation, what we do is we basically collect the bundle of messages that someone is sending us, right? So we first check if AI user messages, so that's the field where we collect all of the messages, if it is unknown. So if it is unknown, it doesn't have anything in it, right? So if it's kind of empty, what we then do is we set the AI user messages to the last text input. So the last text input is the message that someone sent us on Instagram, right? Then if someone already sent something before, then what we do is we set it to AI user messages dot last text input, right? So if someone is sending us multiple messages, for example, they're sending hey and then sending how are you, then we will actually save this in Manychat as hey dot how are you, right? And then it will just collect all of these messages into one field. So that's what we do over here. And in order to enable that, we actually need to connect the default reply in Manychat to this automation. So to do that, you can just go to settings and then go to Instagram. And then here we have the default reply. And this is the automation that triggers when somebody is sending you a message and no other Manychat automation is triggered. So what you can do is you can click here on select existing, go to the Instagram AI agent folder, and then go with collect messages. So we can pick this, and then now you can see here that this is connected. And you need to make sure that this happens every time. So by default, it only happens once per 24 hours. It needs to happen every time. And you often want to skip story replies. Basically depends on how your Instagram account is. But for example, if someone is sending an emoji after your story, like you don't want to send this to your AI agent. So I often skip this. So then you turn this trigger on. So now basically every time someone sends us a message, we collect that in a field AI user messages, right? So that's what we do over there. Then I will also show you how we can send the answer. So if we get an answer back from N8N, what we do is we just check, okay, does AI answer 1 has any value? Okay, then we send it. Then has AI answer 2 any value? Then we add a delay, so it's more conversational, and then we send it. If 3 has any value, like we do the same thing up until like 6 times, right? Then we have the last automation where we actually send something to the AI agent. And how this basically works is that someone types us something and then we want to wait for 1 minute. And then if they didn't type us something for 1 minute, that's the moment when we are going to send this to N8N, right? So in order to do that, we have a event. So this trigger goes off 1 minute after the last interaction in Instagram, right? So that's how you do that. And then we check, okay, does the AI user messages has any value? So it basically means if someone didn't type for 1 minute and they send us messages before, because then this has any value, then we want to send it to N8N, right? So you can just hit save here, enable this. And then what we do here is we clear all of the answer fields so that the answers of the N8N AI agent are not mixed up together. And then we send it to N8N and we clear the AI user messages field, right? So that's basically what we do. I think the next step is to actually connect this automation to a workflow in N8N. So that's the next step. So let's go to N8N here and then click on create workflow. And then what you can do here is you can just import the template that I already created for you, right? So when you sign up for my template with the link in the description, what you can do here is you can just click here on import from file, and then you can select the right file. So that is N8N Manychat AI Agent. And then you get everything that we need, right? And I will just quickly explain how this works. So we start with a webhook. So that basically means that we are getting data from Manychat. Then we send that to our AI agent. So this AI agent already has a system message, right? It already has a prompt. And the prompt that I have used is this prompt that you also get is part of the template. But here what we basically explain to the AI agent is that we have a lead qualification flow. So we want to ask like, okay, which country are you from? What is your main goal? Do you already have an offer or clients? Like all of that stuff. Then we explain the qualification logic. So a lead is qualified if they are this and this and this. If they are qualified, then they should book appointment. If they are not qualified, then we can say, hey, here's a free course, right? So you can just insert your website link here. So what I can do is I can just type in chatomize.com/school. And this is actually the link to my free school community where you can get lots of free templates with using Manychat as well. And it will learn you how to make money with Manychat. So if you're interested in that, highly recommend checking that out as well. So that's what we have over here. Then we have the booking flow. So to automatically book the appointment. And then if someone is asking a question, then we basically want to answer the question based on the knowledge base, then basically guide them back to the qualification flow. Right, so that's what we explain over here. Then lastly, we have our knowledge base. So now I have a knowledge base with all of this information with, okay, what happens after the call? What is the time commitment? Do I need to run paid ads? Like all of that stuff. So this is basically your prompt. And if you like create your own prompt, what you can do is you can just copy all of this and then click on copy as markdown. And then you can just paste that inside your system message from N8N, right? So we can just paste it over there and then that should be working. Right. So that's how N8N works. Then the AI agent is connected to an open AI chat model. So we always use GPT-5, right? And the response format is text. Now, in order to connect this to your OpenAI account, you actually need to create a credential, right? So what you can do here, I already have one, but I will create a new one to show you how this works. So we can click on create new credential, and then we can name this. So I would just call this Chatomize tutorial as the credential. And then we need to put in our API key over here. So in order to get an API key from OpenAI, we can go over here, go to API keys, click on create new secret key, service account, N8N, and then click on default project, and we create a secret key. We can just copy that key and then paste that over here, and that is working. So now if I click on save, then this credential is connected successfully. So we use that over here for our N8N AI agent. Then as memory, I just use simple memory. Like you can just basically use everything. It doesn't really matter. What's important is the key. So the key here is basically the contact ID from someone in Manychat. So in Manychat, everyone has a unique number, a unique identifier, and you need to put that over here so that N8N understands, okay, this Manychat ID relates to this conversation. So it basically understands the history of the conversation. So that's what you do over there. And then lastly, we have tools, right? So you can basically connect your AI agent to tools. And in this case, I connected it to Google Calendar so it can create events, it can get my availability, and it can delete events, right? So in order to do that, you can just connect your Google account. So here I have a credential to connect with, again, my Google Calendar account. So I'll just create a new one to show you how this works. And I'll just call this info@Chatomize because that's my email. And then click on sign in with Google. Click here. Click on continue. And now this is successful. And this window will automatically close. So I'll just close it for now. And you see that this is working, right? So that's working. It's saved. So we can go away from there. What's important with setting up, creating an event in Google Calendar is that all of this stuff is kind of determined by the agent itself. For the rest, there's no kind of different things. Then we have getting the availability in Google Calendar. So again, you need to connect that to the credential we just created. And what's important is that we give it a good description. So the description should be check the availability in Google Calendar. Always give 3 separate date options. If you don't say this, what it will do is it will basically say, hey, we can do an appointment at Friday at 12, at Friday at 1, and at Friday at 2. But most people, like, if they cannot do Friday, they cannot do Friday, right? So you want to give them multiple options. So you want to give them an option, for example, for Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. So they actually have something to choose from. So that's why we give this prompt to always say, okay, always give 3 separate date options. Then here, the start time and the end time, that's just determined by the agent themselves. And the output format is the availability. That's important. And the time zone is the time zone that you're in. So in my case, the time zone is Europe, Amsterdam, but you can basically set it to any time zone that you are currently in, right? And then lastly, we have deleting an event. So again, you need to connect that to that credential that we just created. And then the rest is kind of set up correctly, right? So that's what we do over here. So we have our AI agent. It now has a prompt. It has a chat model. It has memory, so it can understand the conversation history. And then we have connected it to a tool, so it can automatically book and cancel appointments. So then the next step is that we message a model, right? So what we do over here is like we get the answer from our AI agent, and then we want to break that down into multiple messages. And we let that determined by OpenAI themselves, right? So here, what I have done, like we can connect it again to the same credential. And then here we have a very simple prompt. I'll just open that in another, like here, and then paste it over here. What this prompt basically does is that it says, okay, you're a skilled content formatter. You're going to split an answer into 6 messages. That's basically what you're going to do. And the output should look something like this. And we use this to basically send an API call to Manychat, right? And that is the next step. So we basically just give it instructions to break down that answer into multiple messages. That's basically what we do over here. And then the next step is to set the AI answer, right? So what we basically do over here is like we get this response back, and then we actually want to send a Manychat API call where we're going to update all of the custom fields, like AI answer 1, AI answer 2, AI answer 3, AI answer 4. So in order to do that, I created the API call for you. So we have the method is post. The URL here is set custom fields, right? So if you're not experienced with API calls, you can just go to manychat.com/swagger. And then here you can just search for set custom fields. And then here they explain how you can do it. So you basically need to send the subscriber ID and then a collection of all the fields that you want to update, right? So then we use authentication. So here we actually need to put in our Manychat API token. I already did this, but I will just show you how you can do that. So we can create a new credential, and this will be called Chatamize Demo API token, right? And then here we need to add the API token from Manychat, right? So we can just go to settings and then go here to API and then copy this API token and then paste that over here. And then that is working. So we have all of that. And that is, I think, yeah, that is working correctly. So you don't have to change anything else. And then lastly, we sent a Manychat flow, right? So here we can basically use the same credentials that we just created. So the Chatamize Demo API token, right? And then you can just leave all of this. What we basically do here is we send another Manychat API call that actually sends the flow, right? So we actually want to send this flow. We want to send that, and we need to send that with the API call, right? So you can do that over here. You can copy this from, like, we need this flow ID, so we can just copy this. And then we can paste that over here. So here we have the flow NS. We can paste that over there. And then that is working. Yeah, so this, I will check it again. Yeah, this is the correct one. So now that is working. Right, so now everything is connected. And then if you hit save, then everything should be working right now. The only last thing that we need to do is we need to connect this webhook to our Manychat flow, right? So with N8N, you get like two URLs. You get like a test URL and a production URL. The benefit of a test URL is when you're using it, N8N doesn't actually charge you for the workflow execution. So I highly recommend using the test URL when you're actually testing. And then when you're ready to go live, then you need to go with the production URL, right? So here you can just click on this and then we'll copy it. And then if we go back to the send to agent, then here we have an external request and we can just paste that over here and then it is working. Then I quickly want to talk about what a lot of other people are doing on YouTube and why it is wrong. So what a lot of other people are doing on YouTube is that they are using a response mapping. So they're basically waiting on a response from N8N, and then when they get a response from N8N, they want to save that in Manychat custom fields. The reason why this doesn't work is that Manychat only waits for 10 seconds. So if N8N doesn't respond within 10 seconds, your whole AI agent flow will break. So this is not a very stable solution. That's the reason why I don't recommend using the webhook response, but instead creating the whole flow that we just created, right? So like that flow, it will just never work, right? So just so you know. So here we have the request URL. So we can, again, we just need to paste that and then click on save and then click on update. And now that is working. Right? So now everything is basically set up like how it should be. And we can actually start with testing this workflow. But before we do that, you just need to make sure that everything is enabled, right? So we have AI collect messages. User sends a direct message every time. Yeah, that is working. Then we go back. Then you want to make sure that this is enabled as well. And this flow is also working as well. And then there's actually another thing that we can do to speed up our testing process. Because with this trigger, we actually need to wait like 1 minute every time. And that just takes a lot of time if you're actually testing, right? So to speed up our testing process, what we will do is we will add another trigger. So here I can just create a new trigger, go with user sends a message. And then we can go with if the message is AI sent, then this will trigger as well. And that will actually speed up our testing process, right? So that's basically how this all works. Now let's start with testing this on Instagram. So in order to do that, you can just go to N8N and then click here on execute workflow. And now N8N will wait until it gets any data from Manychat, right? So what we can do over here, we can go to Instagram and then we can just type in any message. So I can just type in, hey there, I need help with my marketing for my business. Can you help? So this will like collect all of the messages like in Manychat. And then if you send AI sent, then it will now actually trigger our flow in N8N. And as you can see, that is working, right? So now it is sending everything. We get a message. So now it breaks down that message into multiple fields. Then it sets the answers, and then it sends it back to Manychat. And then here it says, absolutely, I can help to make sure it's a good fit. Can I ask you a couple of questions? First one, which country are you from? So as you can see, this is working correctly. This is how you should set up Manychat with N8N. So what I recommend you to do is just test this a little bit, right? So you can just click on execute workflow, then send a couple of messages, and then do the AI send again to make sure that this is actually working and it's connected to your Google Calendar account as well. Then once you are ready to actually put this live, what you need to do is you need to go to N8N, click on active, and then you need to change the webhook URL, right? So you can just do this, copy this, and then click on done. And then you need to go back to Manychat, and you need to change this URL to the production URL. That's what it's called. So we are not testing anymore right now. So we hit save, and then it is working as well. So now it is live. It is always working. So we click on done. We put this to the production URL. That's this one. Yeah, that's the one we just copied. And then it is working. So now we can activate this and then click on got it. And now that is working correctly. And just so you know, this works for any channel that Manychat works with. So if you want to extend to another channel, there's just two things that you need to do. First thing that you need to do is you need to convert this to another channel. So the send answer from agent, that's where we have all of the Instagram messages. What you need to do here is you just click here, click on convert channels, and then go with Facebook in this case, and then click on duplicate and convert. And then you can just connect this automation to N8N. So that's kind of the first thing. Then the second thing is that you need to change the rule. So instead of saying the trigger goes off 1 minute after the last interaction in Instagram, you need to go with the last interaction in Messenger. And then the last thing what you need to do is connect the default reply. So here we have the Messenger, the default reply, and then you can collect that, select existing Instagram AI agent, and then go with collect messages. So that's basically if you want to use this same setup, but then for example for Facebook or WhatsApp. But that's basically it. That's how you can connect Manychat to N8N and use N8N AI agents in your Manychat flows. And if you want to copy my exact setup, you can just go to the link in the description, and there you will get all of the templates for free. Now, if N8N felt too technical or you just want something simpler to build, you want to check out the next video, because in the next video, I will show you how you can set up Make and Relevance AI. And these are just way easier to work with, and we also can automatically reply to images and voice memos. So if you want something that is easier to set up and also with more features, please check out the next video.